Hugo Ekitike is a bad finisher, right? That's what a lot of people have been saying. He seriously underperformed his expected goals this season, scoring just 15 Bundesliga goals from 21.67 xG. Do we really need another Darwin Núñez situation on our hands? And how would a tall, lanky forward like him handle the physical demands of the Premier League anyway? You've probably heard those kinds of questions from the very first moment we were linked with the French forward. But what if we told you those doubts don't tell the full story? Because let's be honest, if Edwards and the recruitment team are targeting this guy, there's got to be something they see. And that's exactly why we're here today, as we're going to break down why Hugo Ekitike might just be the right man to lead the line next season. So hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into the video. Now first things first, Ekitike is a 22-year-old French striker currently playing for Eintracht Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. And your first thought when you see him might be, wow, he's tall. You wouldn't be wrong. He stands at around 6'3" with a wiry frame that gives off that slightly awkward, still growing into his body kind of look. He almost seems like a kid thrown in with a group of grown men on the pitch. But don't let appearances fool you. Despite the slim build, Ekitike knows how to use his body. He's surprisingly good at holding off defenders, shielding the ball, and using his frame to his advantage. It's something he's clearly worked on, and for a player his age, it's impressive. Which brings us to the first key part of his game, his ability to play as a target man and his hold-up play. Now, just by looking at his height, you probably expect Ekitike to be a classic target man. The kind of striker who wins every aerial duel and bullies defenders all game long. But that's not really the case. His aerial game isn't as dominant as you'd think. In fact, he's never managed to hit much more than a 45% success rate in aerial duels in any season. So no, he's not going to be out muscling the Premier League's biggest centre-backs in every single header. That doesn't sound ideal, right? But here's the thing, he doesn't need to rely on raw strength alone. What Ekitike does instead is use a bit more craft. He times his jumps well, and more importantly, he often finds enough separation from his marker to go up for the header uncontested. That space gives him a better chance of winning the ball, even without overpowering anyone. And to be fair to him, despite his lean frame, he's got a decent leap. His jumping power helps him meet long balls and flick them on with his head when needed. Where Ekitike really stands out though is in how he uses his body on the ground. He's clever with it. When the ball is played into his feet, he knows how to shield it and hold off defenders. You'll often see him lean forward slightly, absorbing pressure from behind, while using his arms just enough to keep his marker from stepping in front. That kind of body positioning shows good awareness and balance for a player his age. His first touch is usually solid too. And what he often does right after bringing the ball under control is look for a quick release. He loves a little flick or layoff to keep the play moving. Sure, not all of them come off perfectly, but he still manages to involve his teammates and link up the attack in clever ways. So far, everything we've talked about sounds like your typical tall striker, right? But here's where Hugo Ekitike breaks the mold. He's actually got serious pace, especially over longer distances. At first glance, he might not look explosive, but give him a few steps and he's flying. We're talking about a player who doesn't need much of a runway. Just a couple of strides and he hits top speed. That kind of acceleration is impressive for someone his size, and it turns him into a real threat running in behind defenses. Unlike a lot of tall strikers who move like they're driving a truck, Ekitike is surprisingly agile. He can turn quickly and make sharp movements, which helps him exploit space behind a high defensive line. And what makes him even more dangerous is his timing. When a teammate gets their head up, Ekitike is already making the run. He points to where he wants the ball, and more often than not, he's already in motion. His instincts for when to go and where to go are sharp. That being said, his lanky build can work against him in certain situations. For example, when he's going shoulder to shoulder with a defender from the side, he sometimes struggles to get back in front once he's been edged out. He's quick, but if a centre-back manages to slip a shoulder in front of him during a physical battle, Ekitike can find it hard to recover that position. But in the box, it's a different story. This is where his movement really shines. Ekitike has a great sense for using the blind side of defenders. He'll drift into areas where they're not looking, then suddenly pop into space just in time for a cutback or a cross. It's sneaky, clever forward play, the kind that gets you easy tap-ins. And that shows in the numbers. 8 of his 15 Bundesliga goals last season came from inside the 6-yard box. That's a striker who knows how to be in the right place at the right time. This ability to be both a target man and a runner makes Ekitike a real dual threat. He can occupy centre-backs by holding the ball up, then in the next moment, he's darting past them onto a through ball. Defenders hate that kind of unpredictability. 1 second he's posted up with his back to goal, the next he's gone sprinting in behind. It's that constant shift that keeps defenders guessing, and that's exactly what makes him so dangerous. But if you thought that was surprising, wait until you see how good he is with the ball at his feet. Ekitike isn't just about scoring goals, he's also got a bit of a creator in him. His vision and willingness to involve teammates really stand out. He doesn't mind dropping off the front line to receive the ball and connect play with midfielders or wide players. You'll often see him drift into the channels or come short to collect it, and when he does, he's capable of slipping a clever through ball or pulling off a quick 1-2 to open up space. Now, let's be real, he's not Lionel Messi when it comes to playmaking. His passing can be inconsistent. There are times he switches between being too safe and too ambitious. He might force a difficult pass that isn't really on, or miss a clear option by playing it too conservatively. But honestly, those are just growing pains. The exciting part is that he tries things. He's got the confidence to attempt that risky flick, or the ambitious defense-splitting pass. And that mindset matters, the willingness to be creative, to take risks, and unlock defenses. That's something you can't always teach. With the right coaching and a bit of experience, those rough edges can be smoothed out. The potential is definitely there. Statistically, his creative contribution shows up in the numbers too. One of the best examples is shot-creating actions. Ekitike averages nearly 3.5 shot-creating actions per 90 minutes, which puts him in some of the higher percentiles among forwards. That's not just a one-off, it shows he's regularly involved in the build-up to chances. On top of that, he averages around 1.6 key passes per game. In simple terms, that means he's consistently setting up shots for his teammates. For a striker, especially one still developing, that's a really encouraging sign. That's the sign of a really active link-up player. And it doesn't stop there. He's also excellent on the dribble. In fact, he ranks in the 96th percentile for successful take-ons among forwards, which is right up there with the best. So when we say he can create, we're not just talking about passings. A lot of it comes from beating defenders off the dribble, using his quick feet and agility to open things up for others. All of this suggests that Ekitike could give Liverpool a different kind of option in the final third. Instead of always depending on the midfield to pull the strings, having someone like Ekitike up front means your striker can drop in, play a clever through ball, or carry the ball at the defense himself. At times it almost feels like having an extra attacking midfielder, except he's leading the line. And let's be honest, Liverpool fans have already shown how much they appreciate a forward who can link play. Just think of how beloved Bobby Firmino was for exactly that reason. Now, Ekitike isn't Bobby, but the idea of a striker who can both score and create, that's definitely going to catch the eye at Anfield. Alright, let's move on to what strikers are ultimately judged on. Putting the ball in the back of the net, Ekitike's finishing has improved as he's gained more experience. This season, he's scored in a variety of ways, showing he's capable of using different types of finishes depending on the situation. That said, it's still an area with room to grow. Back in his early days at Rams, he was a bit of a mystery in front of goal. One game he'd curl in a beauty from outside the box, and the next he'd miss a sitter or take a shot from a ridiculous angle when there were better options. Some of that inconsistency came down to the kinds of chances he was getting at Rams. They weren't always high quality, but over time he's learning to be smarter with his shot selection. He's starting to find that balance between being ambitious and being efficient, and that's a big step in the right direction. This past season at Frankfurt, Ekitike scored 15 league goals, and, as we mentioned earlier, he finished a wide variety of chances. We're talking headers, first-time finishes, a couple of cool dribbles around the keeper. That kind of variety tells me he's adding tools to his finishing toolkit. He's especially strong with his right foot, although if we're being picky, he might rely on it a bit too much. Inside the box, his movement continues to stand out. Like we said earlier, Ekitike knows how to lose his marker. He'll hover just behind a defender's shoulder, then make a sharp dart to the near post or peel away to find space at the far post. He's great at exploiting blind spots, which is exactly the kind of instinct you want in a young striker. That's how you get those so-called easy goals from just a few yards out. On the flip side, one area that still needs work is his aerial threat from crosses. It's a bit ironic, but despite being tall, he's not yet a consistent danger when attacking balls in the air. His timing and positioning when trying to meet crosses could definitely be sharper. It's not a major weakness, but it's something to keep an eye on. Now, if you look at his goal tally compared to his expected goals, his finishing has raised some eyebrows. He's underperformed his XG, and that's always going to be part of the conversation. But here's the silver lining. He's consistently getting into scoring positions. That's the hard part. We'd be far more concerned if he wasn't getting chances at all. The finishing side of things can be polished with time and coaching. And importantly, he's shown he can deliver in pressure moments. Scoring in big games, like his Europa League quarter-final goal against Spurs, proves he's got the nerve for the big stage. That kind of composure can't be ignored. Now to finish off, we've got to talk about Ekitike's contribution out of possession. Because let's face it, these days, intensity and intelligence when pressing have become non-negotiable for forwards. Just look at Ousmane Dembele's transformation at PSG. His defensive work was a huge part of their Champions League win this season. The good news is Ekitike is not one of those strikers who just loafs around when the ball is lost. He's actually been praised for his work rate and defensive contribution. Statistically, he ranks in fairly high percentiles for interceptions and tackles among attacking players. That tells us he's active off the ball, constantly pressing defenders, tracking back, and sticking a foot in when needed. A pressing monster in the making? It definitely looks that way. At the very least, he's got the work rate and mindset to become one. He covers ground well with those long strides, and you can see the intensity when he closes down opponents. He also positions himself smartly, cutting off passing lanes through the middle and showing a good sense of when to rush the ball carrier and when to hold his ground. In short, he fits the mold of the modern forward, someone who acts as the first line of defense. And that's absolutely crucial for a team like Liverpool, where every attacker is expected to defend from the front. Seeing Ekitike's commitment in this part of the game will be music to the coach's ears. No one at Anfield wants a passenger in the press, and Ekitike definitely isn't one. So, could Hugo Ekitike be the next big thing for Liverpool's front line? Can he grow into that all-round striker who presses hard, links play, and scores goals consistently? Or do you still have doubts about his finishing and physicality? Let us know what you think in the comments. We'd love to hear your take. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives like this. We've got more videos coming on potential signings, tactical changes, and all things Liverpool, so you won't want to miss out. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.